Hi everybody, we've so much more to cover to review the system fully, including detailed hardware breakdowns, the controllers, online stuff, and of course also going over the price and if it's worth it. There's a lot to cover, so be sure to subscribe. This is a daily podcast, so I'll be releasing new episodes every day. That's audio on Spotify and videos on YouTube, so we're going to have many long discussions before we have finally completed our first impression review of the Nintendo Switch 2. I want it to be pretty comprehensive, but realistically, the thing that you do after the first boot up of a system is try a game. The games are the most important thing. It doesn't matter about the hardware specs. If the games aren't there, it doesn't matter. And the game that everybody is talking about and what everybody wants from the Switch 2 launch lineup is Mario Kart World. If there's one game that almost everyone will get and play first, and I'm guessing that most people will buy the bundle that has it included, but we'll get on to that, it's Mario Kart World. It's the most controversial Mario Kart game so far, except perhaps for the mobile game, I suppose. But perhaps also because it's the most expensive Mario Kart game too. Again, unless you include the microtransactions for the mobile game. Is Mario Kart World good? Is it worth the price? And is it actually good enough to not just justify the price tag for the game, but actually justify purchasing a Switch 2 right now in the launch week? That's what we're going to get into. Before we jump in, just let me do a quick read of the introduction. Hi everyone, welcome to Daily Switch 2, a podcast covering everything related to the Nintendo Switch 2 with at least one new episode uploaded per day to YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite major platforms. My name is Sam, and I've been a gamer since the 1980s. I've worked in the entertainment industry since I was a teenager, including as a games journalist, producer of gaming documentaries and shows, and I'm even programming multiple indie video games, including 4, which will be released on the Switch, and hopefully Switch 2. So be sure to subscribe and follow the show for world-exclusive news on those as they drop. However, I'm a gamer and Nintendo fan at heart, and this podcast is purely a passion project for me to talk about the stuff that interests and excites me about this new system. It's not monetized or funded by any entity. It's completely unofficial and unbiased so that I can give my full, frank, honest opinions. So if you want to support me or just find out the best places to get these free daily episodes, all links are in the bio and at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Thank you so much. And back to the episode. So, Mario Kart World. This is a really interesting game to cover. And I'm in the same position that literally everybody else in the world is in right now. All of the games journalists, all the websites, all of the YouTubers, everybody is in the same position in that, as we discussed in a previous episode, for whatever reason, Nintendo decided to not allow people to play the game early. In fact, the Nintendo Switch 2 system wouldn't function until launch day, and you have to download an update. So even if you were lucky like me and you managed to get hold of a system early, all you could really do was fiddle about with the system, but you couldn't play any games. So this is why you'll notice all of the main kind of websites that you would expect reviews on don't say review, they say ongoing review or first impressions review. It's because everybody has only had a day or two to play the game and gather their first impressions. So there's literally nobody in the world, except maybe somebody who works at Nintendo, who will have played this extensively and be able to unlock absolutely everything and know the entire game inside out. Everybody's discovering the game at the same time, which is weird, but kind of cool. But I think that this review that I'm giving here, yes, it's just a first impressions review. It's not going to cover everything, but I think it can be pretty substantial because I've got a lot to say and a lot of context, I think, that people might find interesting. To head things off at the past, I should say I am not very big on online gaming. I love me some local multiplayer and getting some friends around with a beer and a pizza and having fun locally, but I don't really play online very much. So if you are predominantly interested in Mario Kart World because you only want to play online and you only care about the online modes, and you are listening to this because you want to hear about lag or you want to hear about matchmaking or whatever, I'm afraid this is not the review for you, but please drop a like and subscribe anyway, because I'm going to be covering a lot to do with the Nintendo Switch 2, all of the games, in fact the entire launch lineup, as well as hardware and news and everything moving forward. But still, this review itself might not be for you. But if you're like me and you are predominantly a single player gamer and a local multiplayer fan, then this could be for you. And also, if you're a retro gamer who wants to hear some opinions on this game versus the older games or versus other games in the same genre, again, I think I've got some unique insights that I can give. And speaking of that, I think maybe an interesting point would be to jump in with my history with Mario Kart in the first place. Just quickly set a base point. I have owned and played every single Mario Kart game that has come out at the contemporary time. My first Mario Kart game was obviously Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, which I owned back in the 90s. I didn't get it on launch, but I think I got it in 1995. Obviously Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64. That was a game that I actually picked up on launch, and every Mario Kart game since then I have bought and played extensively, and I enjoyed them all. The only Mario Kart game that I haven't played too much is Mario Kart Tour, the mobile phone game. I'm not a big mobile phone gamer, especially not kind of free-to-play games of microtransactions. That's not really my scene. I have quite an addictive personality, so it's probably not a good idea. I'm not saying that's a bad game by any standards. It's just it's not for me, and I think a lot of people don't count it as a mainline Mario Kart game. But if you do, all power to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. But other than that, every other Mario Kart I have played extensively. And my opinions, what is my favorite Mario Kart game? From a nostalgia point of view, I want to say Mario Kart 64. Just to me, those courses, I just know them absolutely inside out, and it's the game that if we play multiplayer, I am beating you. That is the game that I know inside out, outside in. And I also just have so many fun, nostalgic memories of playing that multiplayer. To me, that's one of the best multiplayer games of all time. I love me some Diddy Kong Racing as well on the 64, and there are some fantastic kart races for the PlayStation as well during that era. But Mario Kart 64, there's something about it just can't be beaten. It's still playable to this day. But realistically, nostalgia goggles taken off, I think we can all agree Mario Kart 8 is, or 8 Deluxe, I suppose, is pretty much the cream of the crop as far as kart races and certainly as far as Mario Kart games go. And I guess the reason why I say that is because I'm kind of, in my head, I'm kind of thinking, is it the best kart racer of all time? Because I really, really love Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed. For me, that game, it just plays so good. The physics, when you transform into the boat, the physics feels just like Wave Race 64, and it controls really well. And when you turn into a plane, it controls really well. For me, various Mario Kart games obviously have air and water sections, but it never feels quite as satisfying from a physics standpoint as Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed. That is a excellent game, but it's not quite as polished as Mario Kart 8. And arguably Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more content as well. And here's the thing with Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 we've had for, 11 years now since it originally came out on the Wii U. God, that makes me feel old because it really doesn't seem like 11 years ago. But at the same time, it does feel like we've been playing the same Mario Kart for a long time. And over a decade, we've been playing the same Mario Kart. Now, when it first came out, I was absolutely in love with it. I just thought this is incredible, absolutely perfect, could not get any better. I remember looking at the graphics going, I can't imagine a Mario Kart could ever have better graphics than this. The courses were fantastic. The music was fantastic. It played so perfectly. And I just thought this is as good as it gets. And then we had little bits of DLC here and there. The Zelda DLC and the Animal Crossing DLC were both very good value for money and real kind of novelty factor as well. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. The small DLC of so you could have all the different colored Yoshis. It was stupid, but I really liked the DLC where you could get the Mercedes tie-ins as well, the free DLC for the Mercedes tie-in. That was pretty cool, being able to ride around in a little silver SLK. But then the Nintendo Switch was released, and I was an early adopter of the Wii U, so I'd already been playing Mario Kart 8 for a long time. So having Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with the Deluxe very much in inverted commas, at launch, it felt a bit, do I want to pay another £50 in order to play the game that I've already been playing? And it's basically the same. It doesn't really look very much better. It doesn't really play very much better. The only difference really that was substantial at the time of launch was the battle mode, and the battle mode was vastly improved. But £50 for battle mode, I wasn't so sure. But I understood that the Wii U had been a comparative failure, one of Nintendo's least successful consoles. I think probably the least successful, unless you count the Virtual Boy. So, and Mario Kart 8 was such an incredible game that I understood that it would have been a crime to leave it on a console that most people would never play. So, it absolutely made sense. But secretly, I was always hoping, I hope we get a Mario Kart 9 on the Switch, and we never did. But of course, what they did do was expand on Mario Kart 8. And to begin with, I was very excited about that because, as I said, I'd enjoyed the DLC before, the Zelda DLC, the Animal Crossing DLC. I felt like I got good value for money. I liked the courses. I liked the vehicles and the customization and everything that came with them. I thought that was great. So when I first heard we were going to get more DLC for Mario Kart 8, I was really excited. But then the DLC started to arrive, and it was a mixed bag. There's in the course packs, there are some good courses. There's some good stuff included, but also a lot of it feels a bit like filler content. A lot of it was taken from the mobile game and wasn't really adjusted very much. So some of the new courses did not live up to the standard of design or the standard of graphics of the base game. And for me, this actually slightly soured me on Mario Kart 8. So it went from essentially being a perfect game. On the Wii U, I thought it was basically perfect. I just didn't like the battle mode. So then Deluxe came along, fixed the battle mode. Okay, now we have a perfect game. And then over time, they added more content. But because the content wasn't as high quality, I almost felt like it was diluting it. I know that sounds silly. I know for some people, they just don't understand it. They just say, well, how can more content mean that the game has got worse? Even if you don't like the new content, just ignore it. It's a freebie. It's extra. It doesn't matter. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You liked what you had at the start. You haven't lost anything. But for me, just the overall kind of polish of the package, it kind of tainted it a little bit. Mario Kart 8, on launch, best Mario Kart by a landslide, one of the best games of all time, completely in love with it. But it's been 11 years, and over 11 years, I kind of slightly fell out of love with it. But it's still a good time. If you're ever around somebody's house and they say, "Hey, do you want to pop out some Mario Kart and have a multiplayer?" Yeah, of course. It's always going to be fun. And gaming conventions and things like this, obviously it's a staple. Mario Kart 8, it's a classic, but it's just, I guess maybe that's why, for me, something in the back of my head says maybe I prefer Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed to Mario Kart 8, because I don't have the but. With Mario Kart 8, I'm like, oh yeah, I love it. It's one of the best games of all time. But whereas Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, I can't really think of anything about that game that I don't like. Yeah, it might not be quite as polished, it might not have quite as much content, but it's more consistent, and I found it a good, fun time to play. Also, of course, the recent kind of Crash Bandicoot kart racing remasters and games have been excellent as well, and have had a huge amount of content added over time. And unlike Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I feel the content that was added to the Crash stuff was fairly consistent in quality. But overall, probably Mario Kart 8 is still the better game. But again, the Crash has more consistency. So consistency is something that I will be looking for with Mario Kart World. I'm sure it's going to be a good game. I'm sure it's going to be polished, but is it going to be consistently polished all the way through? That remains to be seen. So again, with this being a kind of first impressions review, before I'd even booted up the game, what were my hopes and fears? So we can kind of set up a base level here. Obviously, the first time that we heard the first time that we had confirmation that there was going to be a new Mario Kart game was, or the first time we saw it at least, was during the very, very first Switch 2 console reveal trailer, which was a very sparse little trailer. It didn't really show very much. That was the trailer where there had been so many leaks that Nintendo felt kind of forced to release a trailer but still not give away any of their secrets. So it didn't really show much or anything of the console other than what it looked like. But we did see a very brief clip of a Mario Kart game running, and that clip seems to split people right down the middle. I saw many reactions. I heard many people going, "Oh my god, it looks incredible, look how good the graphics look, oh my goodness." And I was in the camp that went, "Oh, I'm not sure I like that." Because with the initial kind of reveal video, to me, it looked extremely sparse, because it was kind of like a deserty area with a big open flat road, and I didn't see much going on that I thought was interesting. Not much trackside detail. And yeah, it was smooth, it was high resolution, but it didn't look very interesting from a gameplay perspective, or particularly creative from a design perspective either. So I had concerns, but when I rewatched it a second and a third and a fourth time and kind of looked at it more closely, I started to see things that I did like about it and that did impress me about it. And the first thing that impressed me was the character models were significantly changed. They're more kind of cartoony, a little bit more like the designs from the Mario movie, which I really loved, although personally I'm glad they kept the kind of more cartoony proportions for Mario in the games, because he was a little bit too realistic in the cartoony movie for me. Just the facial proportions, but that's by the by. But the expressions, the kind of squash and stretch of the animations, it was a lot more expressive. The expressions were more expressive, and they went with a design of Donkey Kong that was more like the movie, which is more like the original kind of 2D drawings, but mixed with the Rare style that Rare invented in 1994 with Donkey Kong Country. But the Donkey Kong Country model, Donkey Kong, it was very difficult for him to be expressive, but he just always looked kind of angry and serious. And with the movie, they changed the design to look more like the original drawings, or at least actually, I'm thinking of the cover art for the Game Boy Donkey Kong game, which actually came out in 1994 as well, but it was pre Donkey Kong Country. So they redesigned Donkey Kong, but you could see that they'd redesigned all of the characters a little bit, and also I saw some really interesting variation going on with the carts and the vehicles, and I thought, oh, that's cool. But it was really what threw me off was the track. There were some neat trackside details when you kind of slowed it down and looked at it, but just being so open and vast and flat, there was and kind of plain colors because it was like deserty area. I don't know, it didn't inspire me with confidence. Now, of course, the wide road, we quickly learned, was because you could have up to 24 players at once, which is probably the main gimmick, or one of two main gimmicks for this game, Mario Kart World. The other of which, obviously, being the open world element, open world very much in inverted commas, but we'll get onto that. The 24 players, that was something that I thought, when I first heard it, I thought, okay, that's interesting, that sounds cool. I hope it's just for certain online or multiplayer version modes, like a battle royale, kind of Fortnite PUBG style. I thought, yeah, I can imagine that being cool. And spoiler alert, it is cool. But I worried that if that was the main kind of gimmick, and there were 24 characters on screen at once during the Grand Prix and the normal racing in inverted commas, I thought, well, that's going to cause two problems. It's going to be too chaotic. There's going to be too many things going on at once, especially with items, unless they do some serious balancing of the item collection. And also, by necessity, it's going to mean that all of the tracks are going to have these very, very wide, very, very wide roads, which is going to lead to this problem that I'd already seen of everything looking a bit sparse and a bit plain, in my opinion. That was something I worried about. So we'll get on to whether my fears were justified or not. But first impression, that was what I was worried about. Then we later had more information drop, and we had a video and eventually a direct, and we learned about the open world aspect, the fact that all of the tracks were going to be kind of joined together, and there was a world map of sorts. How did I feel about that? I saw many people getting very excited about that. The first thing that I saw was lots of people going, oh, it's like Forza Horizon. And my first thought was, I hope it's kind of not, because for me personally, I'm very much a kind of arcade racer style, fun, novelty, gimmick, pick up and play style gamer when it comes to racing games. Like I much prefer a Daytona USA or a Ridge Racer or a cruising game to a Forza or a Gran Turismo, even though I have played those games and I do enjoy them, but really I prefer the kind of arcadey style games, and that leans into kart races a lot, of course, and I just thought, oh, I hope that if they do go with an open world, I hope that it doesn't all get a bit too cerebral and you have to start memorizing the entire maps and working out where everything is and working out the most efficient way of getting to places. And that always throws me off. I remember when the Need for Speed games switched to, rather than just having tracks and courses, you actually had to kind of race through a city to find the next race and find the next course. And for me, that was around about when I started losing interest in the Need for Speed games, because to me, I felt like I was wasting a lot of time riding in between the races. And I felt the same with the Burnout series. Burnout 3 Takedown is probably my favorite arcadey racer of all time. In fact, it's probably in my top 10 games of all time, no matter what genre. Burnout 3 is just incredible, one of the best games of all time. Burnout Paradise, on the other hand, I don't know. It's okay. It's polished. It's fun, but I never want to go back to it. I just felt like, for me, the driving in between races to get from point A to point B, it just feels like wasting so much time. And also, sometimes you can get lost, or sometimes it just feels like, oh, you have to stop and look at a map. But maybe it's me. Maybe I get lost too easily. I don't know. But for me, yeah, it's more realistic to have to go from one place to another. But to me, it feels like busy work. I prefer to jump straight into races and straight into courses. So I was really hoping that if they were going to go this kind of open world route, that they would at least have a normal Grand Prix with essentially fast travel, where you can just skip to whichever courses right away. Although I wasn't entirely negative on it, because one game that I remember, it seems like a funny thing to mention, but honestly, if you haven't played this game, it's a lot better than you'd imagine. The Disney Cars game, the Disney Pixar film Cars. There was a game, I think it was by Avalanche Studios, and I played it on PS2, but it was on PC and I presume at least Xbox at the same time, probably not GameCube, but it was kind of open world. You played in a version of Radiator Springs, and you drove around, and for me, that was really fun, because the Radiator Springs was relatively small and relatively easy to navigate, so you couldn't really get lost. There wasn't far to drive in between the different challenges and things, but there was actually a fun kind of exploration element of being able to find things, do challenges, and also there was no empty, sparse areas. The world felt alive. It felt, every element of it felt well designed. It didn't feel procedurally generated at all. It felt like every single bit of that world had been mapped out. So even though other racing games with an open world I'd not particularly enjoyed before, that one kind of stuck out to me. And obviously, being a more kind of cartoony, family-friendly game, I thought, well, maybe if the Mario Kart game ends up being a bit like that, maybe that could be fun. So yeah, my initial kind of feelings about Mario Kart World were mixed, just looking at the trailers and the reveals. I was not 100% on board. I was slightly concerned, but I still had high expectations. Of course I have high expectations. It's a Nintendo game. First-party Nintendo games nearly always are ridiculously polished. Mario Kart games have always been good. There's never been a Mario Kart game that I haven't been impressed by, that I haven't enjoyed. So high expectations. And Mario Kart 8 was so excellent, of course I'm going to be interested in the game that comes next. So cautiously optimistic, but realistically my expectations are very, very, very high. I just had these mild underlying concerns. And I think this is important to bear in mind when we're talking about this review, because I'm gonna nitpick. There's going to be lots of little things that I say that are going to be negative about the game, and people are going to think I don't like it, and that's not true. Spoiler alert, TLDR, I do like this game. I think it's really good. It's just there's some things about it that I'm not 100% sold on, but maybe they will grow on me over time. I don't know. I think this game has a hard time going for it because being compared to Mario Kart 8, for me at least, Mario Kart 8 came out on the Wii U. It didn't come out at launch. It came out well over a year after the Wii U had already been released. The Wii U was basically dead in the water. It was almost the laughingstock of the games industry. I loved the Wii U, but many people were criticizing the Wii U, saying it was a failed system, saying it was Nintendo's worst system. Everybody was saying, oh, well, okay, a Mario Kart game is going to come out, but a Mario Kart game can't save the console. It's just Mario Kart. We know what Mario Kart is. So when I first played Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, I think like many people, I had fairly low expectations. I just thought, well, it's going to be like Mario Kart Wii, but in HD and, mild improvement. It's going to be fun. It'll be Mario Kart, but I don't imagine it's going to reinvent the wheel. And then when I played it, because I had those low expectations, and then I played it and it was so polished and everything about it was great, I was just like, wow, I was so impressed, and I was just like overwhelmed by how good it was, And Mario Kart World probably has the exact opposite problem. The Switch has been a huge success. Obviously, this is Switch 2, but really the Switch 2 is a kind of iterative, upgraded Switch, isn't it? Really. It's not releasing on a failed system. It's releasing on a hugely successful system, or at least a family of systems with the Switch family of systems, and the expectations are really, really high. So with Mario Kart 8, it was on a failing system and the expectations were low. So therefore, the barrier to impress me wasn't that high. And because I was so surprised, I was pleasantly surprised, and that gave me a good impression. Mario Kart World has the opposite situation of it's on an impressive system. It's a launch game for it's the launch game for the system as well, and the expectations are sky high because of how good Mario Kart 8 was. And if it's not as good as Mario Kart 8, or if it's not as polished as Mario Kart 8, that's gonna make me think, oh, this sucks, I don't like it, and I'll have to take a step back and say, no, hang on a minute, even if you don't like it as much as Mario Kart 8, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that your expectations were too high. So that's how I'm going to frame this review. I'm going to try and bear those points in mind. So what's the initial first impression? Well, if you are like me, you want a physical game that you can actually hold in your hand and put on your shelf. I know a lot of people getting Mario Kart World will be they'll be getting the bundle of the Switch 2 with the download code, so they'll miss out on that slightly. But not slightly, they'll miss out on that completely. But people like me who have been around and collected all of the Mario Kart games and still play the old Mario Kart games like to have something on the shelf. So the physical copy, I love the box art. The box art is incredible. There's so much going on. There's so many characters. There's so much chaos. There's so many colors. I'm really glad that we've passed this kind of minimal, plain white with a logo and maybe one character, like the Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart DS. To me, those covers, I know at the time people thought they were cool. People thought, minimalistic was like the cool style. But for me, just always thought it was such a shame. I thought they looked boring, they looked plain, they weren't fun to display. I love this box art. It's absolutely incredible. It's a slight shame that I'm not as keen on the design of the Switch 2 boxes themselves. I'm not so keen on the great big thick red border at the top. Although as a video game designer and programmer myself, I do appreciate the fact that this gives the aspect ratio for the art. It makes it a lot more similar to that of the PlayStation and the Xbox consoles, because one of the problems that I've had, and I know many people have, with making video game box art for our own games, is the Switch 1 boxes have a very, very tall, thin aspect ratio compared to the more kind of squat or square aspect ratio of the PS4 and the Xbox, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series box arts. They're all more close to a kind of square aspect ratio. So yeah, it's good that the Switch is kind of moving towards that, because it means that we won't have the problems which some games have of having art which either looks nice on the PlayStation, Xbox, but looks kind of squished or cropped on the Switch one, or looks nice on the Switch one and looks squished or cropped on the PlayStation, Xbox. So that's an aside. But that's talking about the boxes in general for the Switch 2 console. What about the Mario Kart box? I love the outside box art, as I say. However, I am disappointed that when you open up the case, the inside is, at least, there's something printed on the inside. It's not just plain white, but it's not that interesting. And in my copy, at least, and I have looked at other video, I was actually confused to the point that I checked other people's photos and videos just in case. There is no manual. There's no manual. There's not even a slip of paper. There's certainly nothing like, stickers or a poster. There's nothing. Okay. And I know we're in modern times, and I know that that's a lot of games are like that, but this is an $80 game. We'll get onto the price later, but this is an $80 game, and people who are specifically paying to have a physical copy are people who want, something nice to collect and something nice to display. It really feels very, very, very minimal to just have a case with nothing in it except the cartridge itself and a slip with basically no inside art either. I don't know. Am I an old man yelling at clouds? Yes, I am. Is it important? For most of you listening, no. But for those of you who care about these things, no, there isn't a manual. No, there isn't anything particularly interesting inside. It's not a reversible cover. There's even if you buy it on day one, there's nothing inside like, stickers or transfers or a poster. Or there's just nothing. CD Projekt Red managed to have a really nice little package with Cyberpunk, and they also, unlike other third parties, managed to get the whole game on an actual cartridge rather than a key card. We'll get to that, I'm sure, in another video. But for Nintendo themselves to kind of drop the ball and just go absolutely bare bones minimum, I don't know, but it's going to look nice on the shelf. The outside of the case, which is the important thing, yeah, it's lovely. I love the artwork. It's fantastic. So again, first impressions, what do you do next? I suppose you take out the cartridge from the box and you marvel at it and you go, wow, this is the first time that I've seen a Switch 2 cartridge. It looks basically the same as a Switch 1 cartridge, but this time it's red. And then the second thing you do after looking at it is you pick it up and you lick it. because everybody knows that the Switch games taste disgusting, and your first Switch 2 game, you want to see if it also tastes disgusting. And I'm going to tell you, yes, it does. But there's no point me telling you that, because you're going to lick it anyway, because you're a sick puppy. But we all do it, and we don't know why we do it, because we know it's going to taste bad, but we all do it so that we can just prove to ourselves that it does indeed taste bad. So we pop in the cartridge, and I suppose now is as good a time as any to talk about the logo for Mario Kart World. It's beautiful. I love it. I love the colors. I love the retro style. As I said, I'm glad we've moved away from a kind of minimalistic design that Nintendo had for back a couple of generations ago. And this is a really, really nice logo. And the name Mario Kart World. If I say World Tour at any point during this, I'm sorry. That's something that I keep doing by accident. I don't know why. But Mario Kart World, it's a great name for so many reasons. Obviously, there's the precedent for Nintendo of having World attached to things. Super Mario World was the launch title Super Mario game for the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, SNES. Obviously, the theme parks that have been launching around the world in Universal in different Universal parks, they're building Super Nintendo World. And so it works from a retro perspective, but I think it also works well. People understand that by Mario Kart World, that's implying this is a much larger game. Just like you had Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World. Super Mario World was much bigger, much more different areas connected, and Mario was really going on an adventure. And I think when you hear Mario Kart World, it makes you assume, this is going to be a big, substantial game. Whereas if they'd have just called it Mario Kart 9, maybe lots of people would go, well, I've already got Mario Kart 8, and it's probably going to be compatible with the Switch 2. Do I really need to buy Mario Kart 9? Is it really going to be that much better? Can the graphics be that much better? Are the courses going to be that much more interesting? Is there going to be as much variety? Probably not. There's probably going to be less courses and less characters. That's what people would think if you just said Mario Kart 9. But you say Mario Kart World, it instantly brings to mind, this is going to be huge, and this is going to be enormous, this is going to be substantial. Again, we'll get to it later as to whether that's actually the case or not, but it's a very clever title because it appeals to the retro fans, whilst also for the newer gamers who are into open world games and are used to huge, expansive games like Forza, and also, open world stuff like online games and Grand Theft Auto games and everything else. Just modern gaming tends to lean towards large, expansive, procedurally generated. So I think World, it says, we mean business. This is going to be big. And the logo itself, it looks great. So booting up the game, title screen, it's all very functional. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, there's a lot right with it. I don't mean to be negative. There's just not very much to say. But everything is smooth. It's well presented, and thankfully, it has that Nintendo charm to it. It's colorful, and one of the first things that actually jumped out to me was not so much the graphics and the design, but the music. The music in this game is fantastic. I'd go as far as to say definitely the best music in any Mario Kart game, and probably the best music in a Nintendo game, full stop. Certainly, a modern Nintendo game. If I love a lot of the old chiptune stuff, but if we're talking about a real kind of modern orchestrated game, the Galaxy games are great, but I don't know. This is just such a great soundtrack. This is a soundtrack that if you're a Nintendo fan or a Mario fan, I can imagine many people just listening to this soundtrack, not while playing the game, just listening to the soundtrack, just to chill while they're working or while they're working out or while they're driving, whatever, in real life driving. Fantastic music. Okay. So booting up the game, obviously you play it, and playing it just for the first 5 minutes or so, what are my thoughts? First impressions, first 5 minutes or so. Okay. It's extremely smooth. We've definitely got 60 frames per second going on here. I don't know if it ever goes past that. I know the Switch can go up to 120 frames on the screen at least. But we're definitely at least 60 frames per second here. I've noticed no slowdown whatsoever, no frame pitching, nothing like that. As we saw with the trailer, the character animations here are amazing. They're fantastic. They're very, very, very expressive. Obviously, the faces are completely rigged, but also it's not just bone animation. Everything is squashy and stretchy, and they almost feel like they're made out of, plasticine. They're almost like kind of Wallace and Gromit characters, So the character animations are great, and there's a good selection of characters. I like the way everything's set out. One of my kind of problems with Mario Kart 8 after a while was they kept adding characters, but it became a bit, I don't know. I think we've got a better roster here, and we've got a cow. We've got a cow, for goodness sake. We've got a Moo Moo Farms cow. What more can we ask for? So again, the graphics, they're impressive. The draw distances are very, very impressive. So we have very smooth graphics with extremely good draw distances. I didn't really notice any pop in or pop up, and you can see far away. And it's one of those things with an open world game. It's really cool when you can see far away and you can look at something and you think, oh, that mountain over there. I wonder if I can get there. And that was one of the strengths with Breath of the Wild. And there was nothing that you could look at and not be able to reach or not be able to get to. You could see something and it might take you 2 or 3 hours to get there, but you'd eventually get there. And if you wanted to get there, you could get there. And I kind of feel that way with Mario Kart World. That's not to say that it's the same level of open world or varieties Breath of the Wild, not at all, but we'll get to that later. But the draw distances, very impressive, and would not have been possible on the Switch One or the Wii U. The lighting and atmospheric effects are also great. Really nice. The time of day changes, and the courses, will change how they look depending on the weather and the time of day, and that's great, and that's really cool, and it's really impressive. But my concern is that also means that there's less fixed artistic direction for each area. Where if you just literally have courses that are raced separately, and you just kind of teleport into them, and you just race this area, and then you teleport out of it and race to a different area. You can have a course that is specifically designed to be raced at sunset, or designed to be raced in the rain, or designed to, I'm thinking specifically one game that was really good for that was Wave Race 64 on the Nintendo 64. Like, every course felt specifically unique. It didn't feel like, oh, this course looks the same as the last course. No, it was very, very different. And the problem is, if you have courses that are designed to be raced on first thing in the morning, during the day, at sunset, in good weather, in bad weather, whatever, and by definition, you can't design them to make the best out of that aesthetic. So it's a choice. I think for modern games, like a Forza game, for example, that works. But for a Mario Kart game where everything's cartoony, that was a concern that I had. So from a technical standpoint, draw distance is amazing, very smooth. Lighting, atmospheric effects are great. The time of day changes and everything that's really cool, really impressive. Is it going to restrict the design choices? Is it going to hamstring how unique each area is? Spoiler alert, yes, but not in a game breaking sense. But I do feel that it does slightly hamstring some of the artistic directions. But from a technical standpoint, yeah, everything looks great. Similarly, such a large open world with long draw distances will inevitably lead to feeling sparse sometimes, especially in areas with, long, straight, wide roads, or looking over long spaces of empty fields or desert areas. And unfortunately, yeah, even in the first kind of 5-10 minutes of playing the game, I did start noticing that in certain spaces. That's one thing, as I said, that I'd kind of feared might happen, and absolutely it does, unfortunately. But that doesn't stop the gameplay from being excellent, and it doesn't ruin the experience at all. But it just leaves the overall impression, or it did for me at least, leaves the overall impression that within the first 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, I came away thinking this is technically better than Mario Kart 8 in every single way, but it's not necessarily artistically better. It's like on every technical level, it's better, but actually in practice, is it? I don't know. Maybe that's just a matter of taste. Maybe some people will look at it and go, well, obviously it's night and day. Look at it. Look how incredible it is. Look at the volumetric lighting there. Look at the whatever. I don't know. For me, it just didn't jump out. It wasn't quite as appealing as Mario Kart 8 instantly. But the exception to that is the character models. The character models and the animation specifically of the character models. Those I can get on board with. Absolutely excellent. No notes. Brilliant. Perfect. Love it. Especially the cow. So continuing to play the game, my other fear had been that, as I mentioned, with the open world elements, I kind of felt like, oh God, if that's going to be the big focus is open world elements and 24 characters playing at once, the open world element, is that going to detract from the kind of pure arcadey pick up and play? I want to turn on and play for 5 to 10 minutes and then turn it off again and just have some fun for a few minutes and that's it. Am I going to be obligated to sit down and play for hours at a time and remember where I'm going and remember what I've just done and memorize maps? And I didn't want that. If you have those same fears, then I can absolutely alleviate those worries and tell you that the Grand Prix, the battle mode, the versus races, the time trials, they are all fully intact and act like normal. All of those modes are still there. They play really well. The controls, by the way, of your kart are almost exactly the same as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm just a bad gamer and people will come at me and tell me exactly how wrong I am. But in my opinion, they feel almost exactly the same as Mario Kart 8. Certainly, if you're used to playing Mario Kart 8, there's not really going to be an adjustment period. You're going to be able to just pick up and play this right away. And for me, that's very important because so many... Mario Kart 8 has been out for 11 years now, and it's the best-selling game on what is possibly the best-selling console of all time. One of the best-selling consoles of all time, the Nintendo Switch. So pretty much anybody playing, unless you're very, very, very young, pretty much anybody playing Mario Kart World will have played Mario Kart 8. And I think, jumping from one to the other is not going to be difficult. You're going to be right at home. And that's not a bad thing at all. Personally, I love the fact that it's just like playing Mario Kart 8, but more. With new characters, new courses, but we've still got the same controls, same Grand Prix mode, battle mode, versus races, time trials. Yes, please. All the CC modes, and it's all, everything is there that you would have expected with Mario Kart 8. And honestly, for some of you, you could stop this review right there. And possibly for me too. In a way, that's all that many people will want to know. Can you play this like a normal Mario Kart game, like you're used to playing? Will you enjoy it? Is it polished? Is it well made? And can you just play it casually like you have done with every Mario Kart game in the past? And the answer is yes. But, of course, this isn't an ordinary Mario game. There's so much more to cover. There's so many different features and things that we've never seen before. We've got the Knockout Tour, we've got the Free Roam mode, and of course we've not even got into things like the parkour moves, or the new characters, or what the new courses are like. And of course we have the whole kettle of fish that is the cost. This is the first $80 Nintendo Switch game, and for many people the Switch 2 is already a higher price than they were initially expecting, and then to have the accessories being more expensive than they were expecting, and now the potential of all or many games moving forward being more expensive as well, it's a hard pill to swallow. So the question is, with all this new content, does it make the game an essential purchase to the point that it's worth $80? And is it even to the point where it's worth the cost of buying a Nintendo Switch 2 just to play Mario Kart World? Well, none of that is easy to answer, but I think I've managed to give it a good go. But my computer is a potato. I've just recently moved to a new country, and I'm currently in the process of renovating a house. The internet here isn't great. I'm on my old laptop, so I'm going to have to split this review into two parts. I'm very sorry. If you haven't been convinced to rush out and buy a Switch 2 and Mario Kart World immediately, come back tomorrow to hear my opinions on the perhaps more interesting or more controversial aspects of Mario Kart World. And we will have another hour-long podcast covering absolutely everything that you could possibly want to know about Mario Kart World. You can find the episodes on Spotify or YouTube or many other platforms. If you want the links, or if you want to support the show, thank you very much. It's linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. And I'll see you tomorrow for wrapping up this review of Mario Kart World.